Okay, here's my comparison between the Deformation Space DS-02 Recording Alliance and the FansToys FT-55 recorder, which are both masterpiece scaled versions of the Autobot blaster. So when you look at both of these, the first thing you'll notice is that they both look very similar, but there are differences that I will point out. But the other thing is both of these are based off of the cartoon design. So let's do this first. Let's compare these with the animation model so you could see how well they captured the cartoon aesthetics, and you could see exactly what I'm talking about. Both of these, they're definitely going towards that hypertune, but there are some differences. And since I have it here, let me just show you. Here is the previous masterpiece scaled version by KFC, and so you could see how this one looks totally different, and that's because this one was based more off of the old masterpiece style, where they took the liberty to sculpt in extra little details and add in extra paint and stuff, which at that time was actually kind of cool, such as the metallic paint here and all this extra paint detail. And in case you don't notice, this one, they actually took things based off the original toy design. So such as like the little triangle on the shoulder, can't really see it, but the little 3 stripes on the little window in there, it's really based off the toy design, not really the cartoon. So speaking of the toy design, let's move these guys aside and you could see what I was talking about. This is the older masterpiece style. So they were definitely trying to make this look resemble the cartoon character Blaster, but they were incorporating their own designs here and there with extra sculpted detail and paint. But it was kind of like a fusion, because here you could see the toy design. It has those little stripes in here, and here you could see it has the like the triangle pieces. So yeah, just letting you know, this was the old masterpiece style, and for its time it was really cool, and I think this still might look good with the Takata sound wave, because that's still the old version. But anyways, just get that out of the way real quick. So it really comes down to the comparison between these two. So before I get into it, let's just go over the accessories that they come with. So here, Deformation Space, this is what you get. You do get the 2 speakers, which are metallic painted, and they do give you alternate faceplate, and they do give you 1 cassette minion, which is a ram horn, and of course his gun. And yeah, I mean, that's not bad. You can complain if you want that this is not chrome plated, there's no paint on this one, but you know, for me that's not really a big deal. And then the instructions, and for me what's important with these detail drawings is how well they executed it. So let me just quickly go over it so you could see. I think they did a nice job on the detail drawings with the colored focused areas. So yeah, this is I think this is nice. But yeah, I'm just showing you this because when you compare with FansToys, you could see how they handled it differently. So really nice, and that's one reason why this doesn't really cost too much. And now here with FansToys, you get all of this, so you could see why this costs more. So first of all, you do get extra face plates. So I tried to split them up here. This one has the nice looking eyes. This one has the I don't know, the eyes sort of too far apart. And then I noticed that this is an issue for me, but they do give you the toy head, but unlike their acoustic wave, sound wave, where they gave you extra parts to make it look more like the toy, I don't know why they didn't do that with Blaster. Like specifically here, the blue paint decals with that triangle, or maybe even trying to do something down here. Because it looks like they went a little cheap. They just said toy version, okay, we'll just give you a head. But I'm just being nitpicky. For me, it really doesn't matter. I mean, options are always nice, but it doesn't really matter to me. And then the handgun, and you know, this is nicely painted, this metallic gunmetal gray, which, yeah, I have to admit, it does look nice, but for me, it really doesn't matter too much. But I'll point out like this trigger guard here. That's actually not good design. That's actually something prone to breakage. So just letting you know, they did something that, you know, I don't think was a good design. And you do get the cassette rewind, which is in here, which is really cool. And this is really a cool figure. I really like that. And you unfortunately only get one accessory for him, which is just one handgun. And then of course the speakers, which are chrome plated, so this looks really, really nice. And of course my favorite, the bio cards. But you know, I don't think FansToys is ever going to fix the issue with the bio being so tiny, where you need a microscope, or you're going to have to zoom in like this to be able to read all of this. So that's also another not so good design by FansToys. But this is really nice. I really like the instructions, which is done in this nice booklet. So yeah, this is something I do like. And I do like it how they give you the contents, but they didn't give you the contents of Rewind's weapon here. So I think maybe there was a little mistake here. But this is really nice. So those are the accessories. Now back to the figure and the differences. So like I said, first of all, both of these, they look similar, and both of these are trying to capture the cartoon aesthetics. It's just FansToys did a much better job to a fault, basically, which I'm starting to agree now. That's with Bobby Skullface. When he made that video expressing his dislike with FansToys going in this hypertune direction, because this figure, yeah, is definitely a lot more like the cartoon than this version. So first is specifically the head. So for me, I do like this head simply because it's cartoon accurate. It has that dome shape to it. But that doesn't mean I don't like this head, because this head, it's nicely sculpted, and yeah, it has more like a mature look to it. And then the shoulders, these line up to the top of the chest, where here they kind of drop down. It's kind of hard to see unless I adjust these back down straight so you could see. And you could see how, you see that? So you could see, yeah, some people don't like that. And I agree. Proportionately, I think the deformation space does look better in terms of proportion. But FansToys, there's no doubt about it. This is definitely hypertuned to a detriment. And some people don't like this waist hip area. This one proportionally looks good. This one, some people are calling a diaper. But again, this one's cartoon accurate. So it's really hard to say. And then here, The speakers, they handle the details pretty much the same. Just one remaining little detail here, FansToys design. You could see those two red circles. It is chrome plated, typical of FansToys. So they did keep a little bit of their style going there. And I will tell you something that I was really hoping for was these thighs and the bicep and hands to be a dark gray, not black, like FansToys usually does to give that high contrast look. So I'm really happy that they did this because it's cartoon accurate. But you could see with Deformation Space, they went black. And some of the other differences, which affects the cost, is the materials and paint finish. So here with Deformation Space, you know, you don't have this nice paint finish and you don't get all this die cast in it. This one kind of reminds me of like Magic Square versus New Age, because here with FansToys you do get the nice paint finish, you do get a lot of die cast metal, so that's what makes this have a premium look and feel to it, which, you know, for some people, you know, that's important. Others, it doesn't matter. I'm sort of indifferent because I actually like both. I can just say that this one is more cost effective because by doing so, this one costs less, and by, you know, adding the extra paint and die cast, this one definitely costs more. So, and yeah, I want to point out where I'm starting to agree with Hypertune to a fault, because here are the speakers. So you could see, I mean, we all know that these are his speakers, and it's cool how you get all those dots to resemble the speaker. But here, FansToys took it another level to completely eliminate that to be more Hypertune. And that goes away from their style of just adding a little extra accented detail. So I'm just letting you know, I think if they would have just kept the speaker designs here, that would have looked nice. Wouldn't be cartoon accurate, but I'm just letting you know, that's just one example, one area here where I think you know, it would have been okay to just make some subtle changes. And some other things I want to point out here is the side view. Proportionately, you could see Deformation Space seems much more bulkier, which proportionately I think that looks kind of cool. But FansToys, you know, he does seem a little slim, which, you know, after looking at some scenes in the cartoon, the side view, I mean, this thin profile is actually cartoon accurate. So yeah, I really don't know what to say about that. But it is cartoon accurate. And then the back, I mean, the back never really bugs me too much, but FansToys seems to have improved their back design where you don't have all these screws and stuff showing here. I mean, some people were complaining about that with the Deformation Space, but again, the back view doesn't really matter too much. But I'm just pointing out that FansToys is doing a much better job cleaning up the back view. So there is some differences here. Proportionally, he is much more bulkier. FansToys is much slenderer. So you take that how you will. And big difference. This is probably the big difference that goes in Deformation Space favor is the ab crunch. I mean, look at that. That is really nice. And it wasn't just like a pivot point here where it's a gap back here like X-Transbots does. No, they actually gave you the cover so it actually looks like a part of the body. So that's really cool. And FansToys, yeah, they did not really, they try to give you an ab crunch, but that's it. And I just want to point out that they really could have given you an ab crunch. I think they just overlooked it. So if you look at this box chest piece, if they would have created like a hollow cavity up in this bottom area, this area could have had more room to go in, and you could have gotten more of an ab crunch there. But that's after the fact. Maybe they overlooked that, but I'm just pointing out that's what they could have done. And yes, I carefully looked at it, you know, the inside, the thickness of the plastic and stuff. They could have done that, but I really think they just overlooked it. So that's one other difference. And the die cast, that's another difference that makes the FansToys cost more. But this is cool. I like doing this. The ratchets. So you do get nice shoulder ratchets on both of them. And then it's just friction for the rest. And then you do get nice ratchets on the legs here and the knees as well. So they tie there, if you will. So that's actually cool. And I think that's actually all that you need. And they both have minimal articulation with the feet that does affect the transformation. But you do get ankle rocker and a toe tilt going up, no back. Same thing with FansToys, the same thing. So pretty similar in terms of the function. But FansToys did do something a little bit different here, like the hand. I think this is the first time they actually gave a die cast for the hand here, which is very interesting. And in terms of design, I think that's actually cool because in terms of design, you don't want to always be doing the same thing over and over again. So you want to always try to add some new things here and there. So that's what good design is. So that's why you see Hasbro's packaging design is always changing, the way their figures, you know, some things are different. That's just part of design, just letting you know. So that's, I think that's all I want to point out with the FansToys. I don't know if I already went over this, but the two circle red things, FansToys kept their FansToys style there by painting it metallic red, which makes it look nice. And that's not to say this is bad, because at least they put in that red paint there to be cartoon accurate. So in robot mode, you know, I think that's all I have to say. And in short, they both look really good. They both function really nicely in terms of the ratchet and stuff. There's just the differences which don't really make a major difference. Just depends on what your preference is. Specifically, like the paint finish and the die cast. You know, if that's really important to you, then FansToys is a good direction to go. But if it doesn't matter, then this is just fine, and it actually ends up costing a lot less. And in terms of cartoon accuracy, this still does capture the cartoon aesthetics really nice, even though little differences here and there, the head, the shoulders, this diaper, if you want to call it that, and you know, the smooth speaker here is more cartoon accurate. I mean, there's no real major complaint. It's just the differences, and it really comes down to what your preference is. So this is really all subjective in terms of you know, what people think looks better, because both of these, in terms of form and function, they both do their job. They both look really nice. And so the other thing though is the engineering design, the transformation. And so yeah, what I want to point out is I think Deformation Space did a much better job keeping the transformation very simple. And that's not to say FansToys is bad. It's just this one is a little bit more involved. It has a little bit more steps. So there's just another difference. This one's a little bit easier to transform, This one just has a little bit more steps. So now, with all that said, let's just go ahead and transform these guys and take a look at them in their alt mode. Okay, here's a look at both of them in their alt mode. And first, let's compare these with the animation model so we can see how well they capture the cartoon aesthetics. And you can see, for the most part, just like the robot mode, that they did a really nice job in capturing all the details from the cartoon. There are little differences, just like the robot mode. Like I said, the deformation space used black instead of the dark gray on FansToys, which is more cartoon accurate. And unless you zoom in and take a closer look at each one, you can't really see the difference. So let me just zoom in here first on deformation space, and you could see deformation space cleans up much nicer, in that you don't have all these parting lines showing. Just to show you comparison, like what I'm talking about, all these parting lines that you see from the transformation. That's not really a bad thing, because it's not too distracting like on New Age, a smaller figure where it shows more. But here, like I was saying, it does clean up much nicer because they don't have a lot of parting lines. But because of the paint they used and stuff, like right here, mine's isn't as bad as some other people, but you could see the paint chipping there. And yeah, that's a little bothersome. It's part of the transformation design. And also little nitpicky things here, like the gray up here. And even up here, if you remember, on the side of his lower legs, the black handle pieces, they all open up here. And so it's not all red like it should be. But that's the same with FansToys also. So I'm just pointing out little nitpicky things, but both of them suffer from the same little nitpicky things. But the handle, I think, is one of the biggest difference. Here with deformation space, I think they did a better job on the handle, because it is more straight. And look at, you can, rock it like this. But with FansToys, I mean, you could see it's kind of, there's too many parts here, so it doesn't really line up very straight. I mean, unless you really get tight with it, you can kind of fuss with it to get it as straight as possible. But for the most part, because they designed it, the handles that way, it's gonna suffer with this kind of drooping down. So that's just pointing it out however you think about that. But like I said, for the most part, these do look really nice. And let's just compare the back, because there is some details with the back view also. So let's compare this with the animation model so you could see. It's just kind of funny to me how they try to capture that darker red here. And you could see that FansToys obviously did a better job on capturing like the darker red down here. But again, it's not really a big deal, and it's the back view, so it doesn't really make much of a difference. But yeah, just pointing it out. And again, we have to zoom up close on each one to really take a closer look at the details. So just like the front, like I said, deformation space cleans up a little bit nicer, so you could see how that looks. I mean, they even capture the cartoon details here with the 3 little vents there. And FansToys, well, oh, it looks like FansToys missed out on that little detail there. And like I said, because of the transformation, you get all these extra parting lines, which may or may not be distracting. It's not as distracting as New Age, like I said, because it's a smaller figure. But again, for the most part, both of these, they do look nice. So that's what I could say about them in the alt mode. Now, the more significant thing is this opening cassette deck. And how do I say this very simply? Deformation Space definitely has issues. I don't think they executed the design very well, and FansToys did a better job. So just to show you, because I don't want to show you, but I'll explain some issues that I already encountered with it. First, Deformation Space opens on the left side, and FansToys opens up on the right side. And you could see how FansToys, the cassette, was able to come out, and here you could see they gave you the little base lip here, so it kind of sits in there. So I think that was really a smart choice. But with Deformation Space, you could see it's kind of stuck in there, and you do have to be very careful pulling it out. And let me just zoom in to show you, because mine's, you could see the horns here on ram horn. They didn't really fit that very well, so it kind of got stuck, and then it came off the pin, and I had to try to fix it because this cassette thing, they didn't adjust for the tolerance very well. So you have to take it out. And here, like I was showing with FansToys, they didn't give you that base lip, so yeah, that's why it kind of gets stuck in this vertical position. And this, I can't really tell unless I unscrew it and open it up, but yes, a lot of people, when you press down here, you could, that's funny, that's the first time that happened where it just came out straight. But let's see, you push it in, and then you, yeah, well, now it's working, but some people, they have it crooked. So something with the way they toleranced it, it doesn't work very well. But more importantly, they didn't give you that base lip, so it kind of gets lodged in there. And so that's problem one. But problem two, I don't know if I'm going to be able to explain this really well, but it also has to do with the plastic. Because of the plastic here, it is a little rougher. So I don't know if you could hear, it kind of causes friction, so that helps it to get stuck in there. But with FansToys, with the paint finish, it's much smoother. See, so it just slides, and so that actually helps it to come out a little bit easier. So that's something that affects the way these cassettes come out. So one is the tolerance isn't well designed here on Deformation Space, and because of the type of plastic, the friction here kind of makes it difficult to come out, but the nice smooth hard plastic paint finish on here makes it smoother, so it just kind of slides out. So yeah, there's an issue there. And both of these, I want to say that even when you open this, left side, right side, trying to use these eject button on both of them, yeah, they should have adjusted for that, because you could see I have to lift this up and use my fingernail to push this down. Same thing on Deformation Space. So that's just something that they maybe could have spent a little bit of time to make it easier to kind of open up, to push down these buttons. So yeah, but that's that. And I don't know if I want to go over these cassettes, because these are two different ones, two different characters, Rewind and Ramhorn. But I can tell you, I'm a little disappointed with Deformation Space, because they gave you, they showed you images how they were making this cartoon accurate, but the final finished product is not cartoon accurate, such as the dark gray on the legs, yeah, and like the eyes. It's not very cartoon accurate. But here with FansToys, this is, yeah, very cartoon accurate. And the issue that I have with this, unfortunately, is if you could see right there, those two little black bumps in between the gold. Yeah, they didn't give you, so you don't have that smooth surface there to put a nice Autobot symbol. I don't know if that little bump there is really needed. And then even when I put the Autobot symbol there, it doesn't stay because of the smooth paint finish. So I'm going to have to scratch off some of that paint to put in an Autobot symbol. But I don't want to get on to the cassettes because, like I said, these are two different ones. But you do at least get a cassette for each one. It's just this one's cartoon accurate, this one's not. And, you know, it does not work very well with Deformation Space, but it does work nicely on the FansToys. And I just saw on Facebook the KFC version, which I am getting, that's cartoon accurate. It will fit in here with the Deformation Space, so take that as you will, though. So that's kind of cool. So I think that's about it for the alt mode. So now let's just go ahead and transform these guys back to robot mode and have our final thoughts. Okay, so my final thoughts after pointing out the differences between the two. It really comes down to how much you prefer the hypertune look. Because just looking at both of these two, you could see that they both did a really great job on capturing the cartoon aesthetics. It's just FansToys went above and beyond to make this look like the cartoon almost to a fault. By that I mean the dome-shaped head, the droop-down shoulders, the shape of the waist that people call a diaper. And some people don't like that, and some people actually like the way Deformation Space kind of modified the head so it looks a little bit more mature. The shoulders line up, they're more bulkier, the proportions here better, which, yeah, I have to say it does make this look better proportionately. And interestingly, that's the way FansToys used to be stylizing their figures with the heroic look. It's just FansToys now is definitely going hypertune, following with the direction Takata is going. So, you know, it just depends on how much, you know, that bugs you, or how much you really like the hypertune. And this is very similar to like the Takata Skyfire, which is hypertune, and the FansToys Skyfire, which has a very heroic look. So again, it's sort of the same issue. It just depends on, you know, which one do you prefer more. But for me, because I love the hypertune, even if it, you know, things look a little awkward, I have to go with this for me. But that's not to say I don't like this, because this I still like because it does look like the cartoon. Now the other difference is that you should take into consideration is the form and function. Okay, so one, the way they executed this, the the cassette gimmick here, they did not do a good job. I'll just leave it simple like that. FansToys did a better job. But in terms of engineering the transformation design, Deformation Space, I think, did a better job in that this is much simpler, easier to transform. FansToys is a little bit more complicated, more involved, and I don't like how you have to manipulate things with the spudger and like things come off. You have to, and even the head, some people don't like how it splits in half and it's sitting here. It's like asymmetrical. But I will say, at least it's not as bad as X-Transbot's transformation design, where there's a lot of issues with that. But that's the main point. This one's easier to transform. This one's a little bit more complicated and involved. And then it comes down to just the overall finish. FansToys obviously has the nice plastic paint and die cast, which gives it a nice premium look to it. And Deformation Space, has this dull, flat look, which for me, I'm sort of indifferent. I mean, it really doesn't bother me, the paint finish. It's kind of like Magic Square and New Age. But they both do a really nice job. It's just, as a result, FansToys cost more, Deformation Space costs less. And the other thing, depending upon how much you like the accessories, you obviously get more with FansToys, like the bio cards and stuff. And Deformation Space, just, a couple of accessories. So for the most part, they're almost, very similar, just the differences that I pointed out. So really, like I said, it just comes down to how much do you prefer that Hypertune look. And if you don't like the way FansToys looks too much like the cartoon, then you're obviously gonna like the way Deformation Space tweaked theirs to look a little bit proportionately better to like what a robot looks like, with a better shaped head, the bulkier shoulders and well proportioned body and stuff. So these are both good. So like I said, it really just comes down to which one you prefer. So that's my final thoughts, and this is not a versus, so I'm not saying one's better than the other, because both of these, like I pointed out, they did a really nice job. And so all I will say is, I'll give both of the both of these get a really high rating. That's all I'll say. And so, whichever one you like, you can't go wrong with either one of these two. So that's my final thoughts. Both of these figures are great, but for me personally, since I do prefer Hypertune, I do like the FansToys. But I also like this, and both of these are going to stay in my collection.
And now a nice and nifty musical selection for easy listening. Hold on to your dancing shoes and go, man, go!